we can humanize things a little bit more and still communicate.
Okay.
Yeah, because at the end of that screen, like on the other side is a human being and they will understand.
I'm Natasha Kimani. I'm a governance and public policy expert and the host of Talk to Me Direct podcast. In this series, I speak with 8 incredible thinkers in Africa, people working to solve complex challenges across the board. We discuss the civic space in Africa, the physical and online spaces where people come together to exercise their rights in shaping our societies.
Today, we're going to be talking about what happens when small local community organizations collaborate to address the most pressing issues in the community. I am delighted to be having this conversation with Polly Wachira. Polly, welcome.
Thank you so much, Natasha, for having me.
You look so beautiful today.
Thank you. You too.
You know, there's so many interesting things about you, Polly. But for me, I'm quite curious to know how a marine biologist lands up doing communication, but most importantly, helping local organizations communicate better.
It's simple. It may sound simple that you just create a TikTok video one day and someone finds you and they're like, oh, this is interesting. This is a young person trying to do something, even if you do not know about it yourself. But it is not as simple as it sounds because then you have to be able to break down these complex issues in something that the people, the audience can relate with, especially young people.
Yeah. So you talked about TikTok, and I was talking you a little bit and so that you're a TikTok influencer.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that that's what got you into this space. What about your TikTok platform spoke to the reality of local communities and the struggles that they face?
So I started creating TikTok videos and they were inspired by my beautiful mother. Hi, Mom.
Hi,
because
Mom.
I used to do skits on African moms.
Okay.
But I also used to do things like period poverty. But at the time, I didn't know that that's what I was doing because I wasn't in this space. But I was creating, again, like I said, I was simplifying very complex issues into fun skits that people could resonate with. And so that somebody saw that and they were like, oh, this is interesting. You can do 1, 2, 3. And that's how I got myself here on this chair even.
I love that. And we're going to speak a bit more about the impact of social media and simplifying conversation.
Yeah.
But Polly, you are part of Maono Space.
Yes.
Please tell me a little bit more about what Maono Space is and how you are involved in that.
Okay. Maono Space is a dynamic space. And what that means, it's different for everyone. It means different things for a lot of change makers in the community, and it's a space where people go to work, to network, and to collaborate. It's a space that has free Wi-Fi. It's a space that has computers, that has support, that you can meet other people who are doing similar things or even different things. Because at the end of the day, as community-based organizations, our goal is to better our community, is to serve our communities better. So it doesn't matter if you're doing something different. At Maono, when you go to Maono, you find someone who helps you do something else, and at the end of the day, you achieve your goal. Yeah.
I think what I love about what you've said is that Maono has created a space and a platform for small community organizations to work together, but to also find resources that they normally would not be able to afford to find.
Yes. And this is everything between having a space. So a lot of small organizations can't afford an office because most of them, so you're just starting out, you have no funding, you have no money, and you need to hire a space for meetings, maybe to meet your donors. So Maono comes to give answers to all these questions and all these struggles that small organizations go through.
Yeah.
So you have a space now. You can't afford, so it's in a rural place. Malindi is in the coastal region of Kenya, which is a bit rural.
Yeah.
And internet is not that accessible as compared to the urban areas of Kenya. So Maono has free Wi-Fi. So what that means is that as small organizations, we can go there and use this free internet. You don't have to worry about bundles or connectivity, like, for example, okay, as we all know, rural areas have like a problem and the internet is really shaky. But when you have Wi-Fi and they provide these things for you, then it's easier. It's easier for us to go and work from there. You might not afford a laptop. They have computers for you. You might not even know how to use these computers, and they have someone there who is willing to help you use the computers to achieve your goal. And they also do capacity building, which is really, really amazing.
And speaking about capacity building,
Yes.
have you witnessed any change in some other small organizations who are part of Maono Space by being, situated in Maono Space? Have you seen them grow, expand? What are some of the things you could share?
I will start by my organization.
Okay.
At Thelesi, we have this program called Karaza, where we support rural creatives to be better, to create better, and to create more. Simply because we have realized and studied that the creative space is saturated with urban creatives. So we try to empower them. And by doing this, we have to have barazas. So we have to meet them. We did not have resources to hire spaces every single week. Maono had space. We did not have, so we are telling photographers create more, but they do not have money to go and take photos in hotels. Maono is a beautiful, beautiful place. So they bring their clients there and they take photos. So in many little ways, it's contributing and helping our cause, contributing to our cause. And also there's this guy called Elfik Tosi, and he really makes fun of us and everything that he had once he got into the space. And he says that the first time he got there, someone told him about thematic areas. So he was chatting with other CBOs and someone was like, okay, so what are your thematic areas? He was like, oh my goodness, what do you mean thematic areas? And now...
And Geospeak.
And Geospeak, I know, right? And you're just a small organization trying to make change. You have no idea what happens in between. All you know is you're at the starting point and there's a goal. But Maono and all the people working in this space helps you reach that goal faster because you're finding organizations that are doing different things, sometimes the same things, and they're helping you. Some know how to write proposals. They have wonderful writers. They're individuals using the space, and sometimes they learn about organizations doing interesting things, and they're like, oh, I want to volunteer. That means you have people to help you achieve your goal. So it's amazing. And I have seen multiple and so many organizations, more than 40 actually. I could go on and on. But yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure, Polly, that there's small organizations listening in on this conversation of ours. And they're asking themselves, we are small. What impact can we have? But you've seen small community organizations in rural areas such as Kilifi in coastal Kenya do incredible things. What has their impact been? And why is it important for small community organizations to exist?
First of all, it's important, and I can't emphasize this enough, for small organizations to exist because, number one, they know their communities better. They understand the issues better than any bigger, any big NGO that comes and camps and stays for like 6 months to learn about this thing. I mean, I was born here. I understand my people. I understand my issues. And I understand them so well. And, they say the first step of solving a problem is understanding it. So I do understand it. And the small impact that I am making in this community goes a long way. And again, after I have maybe started a project, I will never pack up my bags and leave. This is home. I will see my project from start to finish. I will not leave my community wondering, where did these people go? Oh my God, so they build us tanks and now look at us. We are struggling. We are back to square one. Community-based organizations hold their communities and they work with them from start to finish, and they're there. And the projects are so sustainable because they don't have to go.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because I belong there, I'm invested in the outcome.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Talk to me direct.
Okay.
What is a place of technology, and how can technology help enhance the work of small community groups and organizations?
If you put a bulb under a bed, it's doing what it's supposed to do, but what is it lighting? a very small section. But if you take the bulb and place it, for example, on that same bed, then it's lighting a larger area, and it's doing things right. But what you've done is you've put it out there. So we need technology, we need social media, for example, to put our work out there, because it does not only help for donors to find us, or it also creates this like other small organizations in different parts of the world can use our work to do, or can apply it wherever they are.
Communities of practice.
Yes.
So, Polly, before I get to social media, because for me that's the coolest thing about what you do.
Yeah.
How are there any technology solutions that you've used or are using to enhance the work that you do? And have you seen other small community organizations use technology to enhance the work that they do in rural areas such as Kilifi?
Yes, in terms of websites. So at Maono, we have tech support that builds websites. Again, it comes to the conversation that we've just had of trying to be visible. Yeah. And while you're talking about your work, when you're putting it out there, when you're sharing it with other people, then it's easier. It's easier for you to get there faster. Yeah.
So, building on that, the thing about social media, it gives you a chance to talk directly to the people.
Yes.
And to simplify communications. Earlier, you talked about how your work and the things that you did on TikTok were simplified. You simplified complex issues.
Yes.
Is that one way that small community organizations can leverage their work, use social media to reach a younger audience? What advice can you give to small organizations?
First of all, I want to say that it really fascinates me how you can influence people or just communicate through a screen. That's really fascinating. I know we use it every day. Social media is everywhere. But just the idea of influencing someone who is just watching something on the screen is so fascinating to me. And for my organization, we do exactly that. We do online campaigns, and we use very day-to-day, everyday language to try and simplify very complex issues. And I think other organizations can do the same. You can post your work. You don't have to use NGO speak. Because at the end of the day, we need to connect with people. And people won't understand us if we are being cognizant. Sorry, but if we are being cognizant of...
And using log frames.
Like sometimes you read an article and you're like, okay, I'm done reading. What exactly were they saying?
It's more alienating.
So we can humanize things a little bit more and still communicate. Because at the end of that screen, like on the other side is a human being, and they will understand.
You're working with incredible people, and you're an incredible individual. What are some of the lessons you could share that we could learn about collaboration and the importance of collaboration in the change-making space?
For the past 2 years, if there's something that I have learned about collaboration, is that number one, it's faster. It helps you get things done faster. It's you use less resources, and you create greater impact. When you collaborate, you learn from different people. Again, as I said, you learn from different people. You learn different skills. If you want to do like a campaign and you want to reach more people, you collaborate with people who are doing magnet theater, on-ground activations. That means you reach more people. You collaborate with an organization that's doing that knows social media. So they're helping you post your work out there again, reaching more people. Less resources in the sense that you have more people helping you deliver letters to, I don't know what office. You have people helping you write a proposal. So you see, it's less resources because, let's be honest, we do not have the resources. So we need people. We need them to help us. And it's faster again because it's not taking you 6 months to learn how to take a good picture. It's not taking you 6 months to learn how to tell a story that sells for your organization. It's not taking you 6 months to know how to implement projects or even how to organize your work. So the 3 things that I would say is that it's faster, less resources, and the impact, oh, absolutely beautiful.
Polly, what are some of your most memorable moments collaborating under Maono Space?
I think one has to be last year. We had a localized climate change dialogue called the Kilifi Intergenerational Climate Change Dialogue, KICCD, which was before the COP28. And the reason behind this dialogue was that there's big conversations being had at global levels, right? We are hearing about carbon credits. We are hearing about so many things that our communities do not understand, okay? And community being fishermen in our community, farmers, we have teachers, we have people who did not go to school. So you don't expect them to understand carbon credits or how they affect them in any way. So this dialogue was to bring them together and to simplify these terms because communities have opinions, but they can just contribute to conversations if you keep telling them things that they do not understand, they do not comprehend. So as CBOs, we came together and we organized this dialogue, and as communicator and someone who is passionate about communication, it was so beautiful for me to witness how professors broke down carbon credits and told fishermen, and fishermen had an opinion, and farmers were like, oh, so that's what that is. I would like to say I would like to contribute, but they're not going to contribute to these conversations if you keep telling them every time you come, you're like, okay, so now the blue economy, but what does that mean? What's blue economy? The only thing I know about blue is the color.
Exactly.
So what are you telling me of the ocean? Yeah. So what are you saying? Blue economy. What is economy? So CBOs and local organizations play a very important role in breaking down these big conversations that are had globally to the community, to their communities, to give them an opportunity for them to speak out, for them to contribute to this conversation.
One of the things I'm taking home about Maono is that it's made it more equitable and accessible for CSOs and small organizations to access technology and data. But how does Maono create a safe space or educate and inform small organizations about safety online? Because a lot of us don't know how to engage and don't know the dangers of technology. Has Maono created that space and room for such dialogue?
It has. And again, the beautiful thing about Maono is that you'll find different people doing different things that speak to different things. So there's a campaign that we've been running called Feature Uchi. Feature Uchi. Feature Uchi means hide your nakedness. And it's a campaign that educates people on data, personal data. First of all, what's personal data? When you hear about personal data, most of us just think about your PIN, your bank details, right? And your ID number. But we don't understand that things like your phone numbers, things like your location, things like when you post your baby and they have like uniform and you're just exposing them, all those things are personal data. There are things that can be pieced together, and even people can steal your identity using these things, but we don't understand that. So first we break it down, because there's a whole act, for example, here in Kenya on personal data, on digital rights. But no one, let's be honest, no one is going to go through a document that's like 400 pages, right? You have to break it down to a language that people understand, that the fisherman, that the community, a woman in a rural place is going to understand. What is this data? So we've been running the campaign and we educate them on data rights. What are your rights? For example, if I just ask about, if I just asked you about, Natasha, give me your ID number. Like, you have the right to ask me why, but we do not know this, right? Every time you ask for ID number, you're very quick to give it out, because it comes maybe from a point of intimidation. So you're like, okay, my ID number is, but you have the right to ask. So we help them. How do you, I mean, the education is around how do you handle your personal data? How do you expose it unknowingly? When you're using social media and someone is cyberbullying you, how do you respond to that? Right? We point, like the campaign points you in the right direction. If you get cyberbullied, this is where you go.
What's the feedback been from that campaign? Because Feature Uchi sounds incredible and life-changing.
Oh, it has been amazing. Currently, we are doing Feature Uchi 3.0, but last year we did like Feature Uchi. We started the campaign 2 years ago, but last year's campaign had the most impact. And again, it goes back to communicating effectively. I am passionate about communicating and communicating well. Because you might be communicating, but are people comprehending?
No.
They are not. So you have to study your audience. You have to understand how they speak. What's the lingo like? What word can I use? How can I use it for them to understand? And the impact was amazing. We reached more than 100 million accounts online.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. This is how technology can be used to amplify impact
and reach people in far areas.
Yeah.
One final question for you, Polly. In an ideal world, what are some of the things you have seen in the work that you have done that you'd like to recommend to other small organizations in rural areas that they can implement to enhance their work? What are some of the secrets or key ingredients, let's say, to make the soup delicious for small organizations?
So as small organizations, we know what we want, right? We know what we want for our communities. I think the best thing that I would say, and the best thing that I have seen, even with my organization, it's collaborating. Just come together and do something together, because you'll find that way there are people who have more strengths in different fields. You come together, you network, you work. It's so amazing. Just collaborate. Don't be afraid to go out there. Don't work in silos. Don't go and try to change. The best thing that you can do is find other change makers and collaborate. Don't try to do this thing alone. Because if you do it alone, then I don't know who is going to do it when you leave.
But there are people wondering, what's a starter pack? What can I do to ensure that I've started on the right foot?
I would say the first one is, of course, having a goal. Because what are you doing? How are you contributing? What are you trying to change? How are you trying to improve your community? And then for you to achieve this goal, there are things that need to be done. Right? You need to register this organization, right? So you need to have a certificate. You need a team, because again, you're not going to do it on your own. It can't be a one-man show. And people do it all the time, but sometimes you need a team. You can't do everything again by yourself. It becomes so overwhelming. You're just like, oh my God. And that's why organizations and small community-based organizations collapse, because you're tired. You can't do everything by yourself. Natasha, can you run an organization?
No, and I don't want to.
You see, so you need a team. You need a team to run this organization. And then now from the team, they can do different things, learn how to resource mobilize, learn how to tell stories. So you need there. And you also need other organizations. Yeah, truth be told, we need each other. In this space, we are not competing. Again, we all need to come together, hold hands, and help each other achieve our mission. Because it might look different from yours, but at the end of the day, what you're really saying is, I need my community to be better. And we are all speaking the same language, maybe using different words, but the goal is the same.
Polly, it's been my absolute pleasure listening to you and learning from you about the power, the impact, and the importance of building community in the change-making space.
Thank you, Natasha. And I think just before we close, you really put me on the spot today, so I think it's my turn.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Okay.
let's take turns. Let's play.
Let's do it.
Let's
Let's
play
do
this
it.
game. Okay, it's my turn now, Natasha. It's
okay.
only fair. It's one question. So we've been talking about CBOs. What do you think about small organizations, and what do you think? First of all, do you think that they should be empowered? Do you think that they should exist? And what's your view on
that's a really interesting question. Thank you, Polly, and thank you for asking. I think CBOs and small organizations need more funding than larger ones because they speak to the reality and lived experiences of Africans. You put it so beautifully and succinctly when you said that you understand the problems because you live there. Therefore, you want the place you live to thrive. So for me, community organizations matter. They change lives. And they change lives because they understand the problem intimately. I hope I've answered the question correctly.
Yes, you
I
have.
didn't know you'd be putting me on the spot. I suspect my producer had something to do with it.
No.
Oh,
Who's the
wow.
producer?
Who's the producer?
Is he in the room with us?
Oh my God, this is a lot of fun, Polly.
Thank you,
You're
Natasha.
lots of fun, and I wish you well in the work that you do.
Thank
and
you.
I'm so glad that you're part of Maono and that you're transforming Kilifi one small project at a time. I have been speaking to Polly Wachira, who's taken us on an incredible journey, sharing inspiring stories about Kilifi changemakers. I am Natasha Kimani, and this is Talk to Me Direct.
You've been listening to Talk to Me Direct, a podcast that spotlights the civic space in Africa today. In this episode, we talked about how communities organize and the impact this has on their decision-making power. In the next episode, we dissect the power of youth organizing in building strong democracies with Chineye Uwanaka. Follow and subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.